Hello everyone, John White here, and we're going to continue on with the Slav and Semi-Slav series. I have a new setup than we did from last series when we went to the D4, D5 openings. Before, if you remember previously, or if you watched the videos, you would have seen that I used the PDF or Kindle sample from Amazon website for looking at the book Fundamental Chess Openings. And what I decided to do this time was use a app from Gambit Studios, the publisher of the book. They have an app called Chess Studio. They have one for iOS, Android, and also I found out that the application also works for Mac OS. So I downloaded the app. I have the book downloaded, Fundamental Chess Openings. Let's go ahead and dive in. The reason why I like it are a couple reasons. Let me go ahead and show you. We'll get started. So the reason why I like the app here, we can test it out, is it has a board kind of built into the application or the ebook, right? So for example, if I would push D4, for example, it automatically moves the chessboard for me. So I'm not having to look at the moves and then move it manually. I can just kind of click through with the arrows now. I can go D4, D5, C4, C6. And there's a list of different main lines branches I can jump into. So something I think it's interesting. We'll try it out and we'll see how it looks. Let me go ahead and just get rid of the mouse cursor so I'm not in the way. All right, let's go ahead and run into it here. Actually, I see a red, okay, the red line's gone. Here we go. So Slav and Semi-Slav. D4, D5, C4, and instead of E6, like we looked over last time, this would be C6. Okay, though not as old as the Queen's Gambit declined, the Slav has an excellent record of service and is considered a classical opening. It first became popular when it was extensively tested in the World Championship matches between Alekhine and Euwe in 1935 and 1937, with both players adopted in turn. Since then, it has always remained one of the most important D4 openings, with new variations being developed and refined all the time. As in the Queen's Gambit declined, Black maintains a firm grip on D5, but the difference is an important one. He keeps the C8 to H3 diagonal open for his Queen's bishop. Let's see if I can, if it'll allow me to do arrows here. Nope, but it's okay. So this C1, so the C8 bishop, the light square bishop for Black, to all the way to the H3 diagonal is open. So the light square diagonal for Black is open. First Queen's bishop, where it can be aggressively developed to F5 or G4. Another point of C6 is that now the threat of taking on C4 looms much larger over White's position than after 2E6, since a Black pawn on C4 can now be immediately protected by a pawn on B5, which will itself be covered in advance by the pawn on C6. In fact, C6 forces White to take a fundamental decision. In comparison with 2E6, he will either have to be more reticent in his natural development, moves like knight F3, knight C3, bishop F4, or bishop G5 are less self-evident than in the Queen's Gambit declined. Or he must be prepared to risk some fairly sharp variations where he may have to sacrifice a pawn. The most radical way of eliminating D takes C4 is 3, C takes D4. Oh, there's a hyperlink. It jumped right into it. The most radical way is eliminating with 3 C takes D5, the exchange variation. Yet the main lines of the Slav are reached with either knight F3 or knight C3. So knight F3 is one, and knight C3 is another. These two natural development moves will often transpose, but of course there are a few important differences.